Welcome to another crypto weekly breakdown. So I'm going to do this one a little bit differently here. I'm going to start off doing some analysis on what we previously forecasted. I'm going to show you what I forecasted on the 8th of June. Unfortunately, this full forecast, 35 minutes worth, didn't have any audio, but I was able to break it down with the drawing tool. And I just want to talk you through exactly what I was looking at from last week's forecast. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us over to the forecast that I done on the 27th of the 5th, alongside what I was looking at on the charts, and then we're going to review what the charts have essentially played out over the last couple of weeks in the market, taking a look at exactly what we were sort of forecasting over the last couple of weeks. So I'm just going to skim through this really quickly because it is 35 minutes and I just want to get to the key points. So starting off with stablecoin dominance on USDT, you can see we're in the bearish range. We've swept the high on the monthly, and my overall target is at 3.75% level. So what I was expecting from last week is just that continuation on the higher time frame bearish. You can see that we're starting to get them bearish candles coming to the market, but we are just returning at key levels, and the closes are not as strong as the previous bearish leg in price. And dropping down to the lower time frame, you can see we're in a bearish channel, continuing to make consecutive lower lows and lower highs, and we've formed a lower high, and we are now in the pro trend bearish phase, having come to a key level, and we've now stalled. So what I was looking at is, because we've stalled in these key levels, in this fair value gap, in the 3-day order block, we've took rest in liquidity. What I've been looking for on these stable coin dominance pairs is for price to essentially come up into these areas here, back into key levels where we broke down from, before seeing a higher time frame continuation lower. So what I was expecting and have been expecting over the last couple of weeks is for stablecoin pairs to consolidate at these lows and manipulate these lows here, continuing with the market essentially gradually consolidating whilst Bitcoin is still in that higher time frame range, whilst most altcoins are still consolidating after higher time frame breakdowns. And what I've been looking at is for essentially, as this pair trends and pushes up to these levels here, I've been expecting a bearish move in the market, coming into the market as these stablecoin pairs push up into key levels. And then once the market gets to these key levels, is then I am expecting a higher time frame reversal to play out in the market. So I would expect Bitcoin and the rest of the market to start trending bullish to the all-time highs as price breaks down from these levels here. And that has been the idea for weeks, if not months right now. We've been following stablecoin dominance pair saying, well, all the way from the 2023-2022 bear market, and I've been able to call this pair very accurately as it's distributed all throughout this fractal in price here, all throughout this downtrend. And all I'm looking to do is continue to forecast it to get an understanding of where to position myself and where we're going to see these pivots in the market. When are we going to see that higher time frame continuation bullish come through, and at what point can we then start to either reallocate capital if you've still got spare capital to DCA, or if you are allocated and you're just bag holding right now, is just being patient for these levels to get hit, have your higher time frame understanding, and then just be patient enough for this chart to continue to break down lower in line with the higher time frame bearish momentum pro trend. So yeah, that's essentially all I've been looking for. Is, as you can see where I've been annotating here, is all I'm looking for is for price to push up into these key levels where prices broke down from, before then seeing the move come down and target our higher time frame drawn liquidity. Again, this correlates to essentially the market is going to have a bearish correction as this pumps into them key levels. which is what we're seeing on Bitcoin. It's what we're seeing in altcoins right now. And you'll have noticed that we had a rather substantial correction yesterday, especially on low cap altcoins. And I'm going to show you the breakdown of why we've seen that, what I was looking for on these pairs, as well as total 1, 2, and 3, as well as the others pairs, as you can see up here, to give you an understanding of why we've seen that breakdown, what's happening, and how are these pairs shaping up from this forecast. And again, as you can see on USDC dominance here, is I've been looking for price to continue to consolidate here in this key area, expecting price to return into this breakdown area where essentially we had the breakdown, and all I'm looking for is for price to consolidate, return to them key levels before then aligning pro trend bearish and continuing that higher time frame bearish trend to the lows down here as shown there. And on Bitcoin, what that looks like is, as you can see, we are contained within that range between this low and this high here, and we are just consolidating still within a range and manipulating liquidity internal to the range. We've returned to this higher time frame supply area where we broke down from after sweeping this liquidity, and we're essentially forming a load of liquidity here above a key level where we've broke out from with that MS, as you can see here. So all I was looking for was for price to potentially break down from this level after mitigating this area here. It didn't seem like there was going to be commitment to the range highs, because I know that 2 weeks ago in this forecast here, I was expecting price to continue order flow to then take out and manipulate the range highs before coming down to this level. But it looks like there is potential forming right now where we've started to see a push in this pair. We've took liquidity as such here, and now we are starting to return back into these levels yet to take this liquidity. So I still think this area is a very key area on Bitcoin. You know, it's still untested. It's the demand range that took liquidity, and we've had that nice break with this body close here. So all I'm looking for is manipulation to continue playing out in this range, manipulate the liquidity internal to the range before coming into this key area. And this is a key area for me. I'm looking for price to reverse bullish out of this area. However, this could still fail yet, and we could still target this low. But at the minute, it's the first area that I'm looking for them higher time frame reversals back bullish. So if we just continue, you can see what I'm mapping out here is basically what I'm looking for is that pullback into them levels where I'm expecting stablecoin dominance pairs to push up bullish, and as a result, the market would essentially pull back into key levels. And that's exactly what we've seen come through over the last week. What I'm showing here is the potential for altcoins if we have a really bearish situation in the market where we pull back and we take the lows on Bitcoin again from here. What I would look to see is, as you can see, we've got the bearish range between this point here and this point down here. Is the way this is returned into this bullish fair value gap, took resting liquidity, is there is the potential for this to break down from this 0.5 to 0.618 region where we broke down from. So we push up and break down. But the other option I've been keeping my eye on just in case, it's the ultra bearish situation is how I would call it, is I would see this being used as liquidity. We come into key levels, a deeper retracement into the 0.786 level, pulling in deeper into this supply range, taking this liquidity here, and then distributing lower. And that would be the super bearish case for the market, where essentially I would look for these lows to be targeted before then seeing that higher time frame bullish reversal, as I'm showing here. This is the sort of scenario I would be looking at if my stablecoin pairs react very sharply and look to put in momentum into these key levels, into the the 0.786, but we've still got this key level here yet to give us any confirmations of trend reversal, and the same on Bitcoin with this area here. So until this fails, I am interested in longs pro trend from this area and looking for that higher time frame reversal to form. But overall, you can see the idea here is we're getting stacks of liquidity. I'm looking for manipulation back into the lower bound of the range, back into this breakout, back into key levels, and then I am looking for that potential to see the trend continue. But overall on the weekly, as you can see, we are still consolidating. We're not really doing too much. There isn't a commitment on the weekly closes to show us that we're really committed to going to higher prices just yet, and we are just doing a lot of consolidation after an initial sweep still as well. Overall, with ETH BTC, we've now broke out of the weekly and we've flipped bullish market structure weekly. So all I was looking for was a retracement on ETH BTC and ETH Dominance, a pull back into this swing high here and into the discount of this range, of this new bullish range, and as a result I'd expect to see a reversal bearish on ETH, just a pullback after that nice move to the upside, pulling back into key levels. Same with altcoins. I'd expect altcoins, and I was expecting altcoins to have them deeper pullbacks as ETH pulls back into key levels. As you can see here on ETH BTC, we've broke out. We've now created a consolidation. So all I'm looking for is a potential pullback into that key level there, before then seeing a higher time frame reversal into the liquidity areas mapped out above. And again, I was expecting bearish reversals in altcoins but some bearish momentum in altcoins and consolidation as we pull back, before then seeing another expansion phase into liquidity. And then analysis on total. So total market cap. As you can see, we're just returning back into the area where we broke down from. Still ranging, and what I was looking at is on the 3-day here is we've had that initial push from a range lows. We're consolidating in a supply. What I was looking for was a pullback directly into higher time frame 3-day demand ranges where we broke out of from a range low, before then seeing that potential expansion higher into the range highs and into new all-time highs as well. And what we've seen so far this week is similar to that. Is if I just pull up the chart quickly on total on the 3-day, what you can see is we're still consolidating in that range. You can see it there. Still very much consolidating in that range, and I am looking for price to take the liquidity under these lows here, come into this discount, this higher time frame 3-day order block, fill in some of this imbalance here, before then potentially seeing a higher time frame reversal come out. And what we're seeing in the market the last day is we are just seeing continued further consolidation in these higher time frame sell areas, the higher time frame breakdowns that we mapped out weeks ago now. And if I just continue to take you through this chart, you can see we're in a descending wedge. It's a consolidation pattern. Typically volatility continues to slow down as price constricts within this wedge, and as you can see, all I'm looking for is that manipulation into this level, before then seeing essentially a pullback into the key levels, before seeing higher time frame reversals come through as shown there. So at the minute, we're still very much range bound here, still very much not doing anything. We're consolidating for many days, and there hasn't been much update to give you since this forecast and since the forecast on the 27th of last month as well. So this is still very valid. This is exactly what I'm looking for still. these higher time frame reversals to pull through into these key levels here. And then as a result of that, I am expecting continued bearish momentum in Bitcoin, in ETH, in some altcoins, just while the market comes into these key areas, essentially just manipulating this range, manipulating this breakout here, where we test the breakout line, test the trend line, we break down into key levels before seeing that continuation. And the same story is for Total 2 as well, where we come into that level where we break down. As you can see, we break down, create a fair value gap here, and we have swept liquidity from this consolidation range, returned back into this sell area, and all I'm looking for at the minute is for price. We've formed that initial impulse into that key level, is what I'm expecting, is for price to return back down into these key levels, into a discount, into, you know, we have that false breakout almost, that initial breakout. If I take you back to that pair there, we have that initial breakout. It then takes us back into key areas, it breaks down, flushes everyone out the market, which is what we're seeing now, before then seeing higher prices later on down the line. And that is what I've been looking at on this pair. That was what I forecast from last week. And this is Total 2. And if I take you over to Total 2 on here, what you can see is a comparison, is price. If we jump on the 2 day as well, price is doing a whole lot of nothing right now. It is essentially still consolidating in this higher time frame supply area. We are starting to see a breakdown starting to come into these levels, but not quite yet. Essentially following the analysis as per the forecast, where I was expecting a slowdown, potential to pull back into these key areas here, and to see bearish reversals come into the market on Total 1, 2 and 3, as well as expecting bullish momentum in stablecoin pairs as well. And as you can see, we are starting to come into them areas here, where we are starting to break down, come into them areas, and I still think we're going to be in this condition for the next week, the next month or so. I still think we are going to see continued consolidation within this range here over the next month or two. Further consolidation and moves into these key levels, into the downside. Continue to see downside momentum in the market over summer in that correctionary period, and then I think Q3 and 4 is potentially setting us up in a bull situation where we see higher time frame reversals come through either from these areas here, or if we see further bearish momentum in the market, then I would expect these lows to get taken, this to be a false breakout here, and then we take these lows before then seeing a higher time frame reversal come through. But overall, guys, we are looking for that higher time frame bullish reversal. We're just seeing lots of manipulation take place here, especially over this summer period, and all we want to do is to just sit on our hands, be patient, wait. I'm positioned personally in most of my coins at the minute, playing with meme coins, and any profits that I take from meme coins and shit coins, I'm going to rotate that into more of my major plays on altcoins. And for the time being, as I've said in the previous forecasts, all I'm seeing in this range is just lots of manipulation of liquidity across the entire range, as you can see that I'm marking up here. And all we're doing is just manipulating the range in range bound conditions, giving off inducement to get people induced into new positions, before then essentially flushing them out as we then come back into other key levels in the range. So if we just finish off the previous forecast, going over Total 3, so this is our altcoin market, and again, just like total pairs, I was looking at this coming into this key supply level here. We've took internal liquidity from this bearish leg, and we've now mitigated this essentially a supply level within the higher time frame bullish range. And what I've been looking for is for price to return to these key levels here before then seeing a potential reversal set up into the range high. Now, I also believe that price could come lower for this pair, as well as for total pairs too. I still think there is potential to see this manipulate this range low further one more time and come into this key level down here from a monthly bullish range. You can see we've got a bullish range there. Price is around about the 50% level, and we're just manipulating some liquidity in a premium of this range here in this larger bullish leg in price. So price could come back to this level and reverse bullish as just shown, or it could also, depending on how bearish we get in the market, we could look to take some of this liquidity here, come back into these key levels in a deeper retracement around, you know, the 500 billion mark, before then seeing a continuation in altcoins pro trend bullish to finish off the year in Q3 and Q4. So if we just continue with the annotations, you know, what I'm showing you there is essentially we've got stacks of liquidity here. We've taken the highs, we're forming an ascending bullish wedge where we've faked out the highs, essentially come into a key supply level, and then I was potentially looking for a breakdown here back into these key levels. And again, this is the ultra bearish case in the market that I'm looking at, where I still think this is a very valid idea that could play out, where we've got stacks of liquidity now on the lows. We've generated just more liquidity within these larger ranges, and given the nature and the dynamics of the market right now, where we are just consolidating in higher time frame ranges, we could expect to see manipulation continue to take place as like the above, where we sweep these highs and then we take all of this liquidity back into a discount of the bullish range that we're in on the higher time frame. And don't forget, guys, these things take fucking months to play out. You know, is when I was forecasting the lows and the bottoms on Bitcoin back in 2022 and 2023, you know, I was doing forecasts for weeks and having to wait months for price action to deliver to my targets. It takes a long time to develop, and it's a patience game. It's a skill of being able to sit on your hands and not fuck up your positions whilst waiting for the higher time frame targets to come out. Because as the operator, if you fuck up your positioning through not having enough patience or doubting yourself because of the amount of time that it's taking, you know, you might sell in this consolidation phase, and you're going to miss out on a lot of gains post correction. And once it moves back into the impulse phase, that's when you're going to start to see all of the hard work, the result, the patience of being through this consolidation phase. You're going to see that come through as we start to take over into new all-time highs, and you start to see new all-time highs in your portfolios as well, guys. So right now is not the time to be getting bearish on the market. It's not the time to be really, you know, getting too engaged. The market is consolidating. If you've got spare capital, I would advise, you know, taking good use of that as we come lower on some of these coins. The best time to buy is when we take fresh liquidity, and fresh liquidity on the lows. So if you do have spare capital and you are in that position, just continue to gently scale in on your major plays as they start to come in lower. But just be cautious. We do still have a little bit of pullback in the market to come, I believe, and this is just at the initial first wave and breakdown. Anyways, getting back to this chart then. So as you can see, we're just forming essentially a bull flag. It could also be a contracting descending wedge where we have essentially a breakdown down to these lows. And what I was just showing you there is within this higher time frame bull flag, you can see we have a breakdown. We have a bear flag here, so we have a breakdown back into a bear flag with a potential to see a further breakdown. As you can see here is the potential to see that push up, manipulate, push back down into these key levels here before then seeing higher time frame reversals. But the first zone I am looking for here, and have been looking for since, you know, the last couple of weeks, is this level here, where I'm expecting, or I was expecting, manipulation of these highs to then take us into this first key level. and then I'm monitoring for any potential reversals setting up in here to take us to the range high. So if we look at what that looks like on total free, we jump to total free and we just drop in, as you can see, both pairs side by side on the 2-day, where essentially chart looks the same, other than I've got this trend line drawn. And what you can see is, since we've tapped there, which is exactly there, all we've started to do is just consolidate, manipulate into this key level, and we are starting to see that breakdown back into these levels down here. Not quite as deep as this just yet, but essentially just we've manipulated the highs, taking that liquidity on the top here, coming to this key level, and now we're starting to essentially take out sell side liquidity on the lows back in these ranges here, which is all I've sort of been expecting from the last week. And as this pair comes deeper into a discount, that's when I would be looking for either that key reversal from these zones here, or the uber bearish case where we tend to use all of this as liquidity. We come and take this liquidity here into these key levels before then seeing a real nice expansion to the upside. Back to the forecast again. We're almost through it now. So Bitcoin, back to total. As you can see, just reiterating the fact that we're returning back to them key supply levels here. And all I'm looking for over the next week is for price to essentially come back into this higher time frame breakout area that took the range lows. It's created a 3-day order block. There's a 3-day fair value you have to trade away from. And this is the first level that I am looking for a bullish reversal from in total. And this will be the first, essentially expecting that pullback into liquidity, into the discount, into this level, and also this breaking down this ultra bearish case scenario, where if this zone was to fail, the next setup and idea that I would be looking for is for price to essentially manipulate the lows of this descending wedge, manipulate these areas here into a deeper discount of the bullish range, before then seeing a higher time frame reversal coming through. But overall, the higher time frame idea remains the same. We are forecasting higher time frame reversals to go into new all-time highs. It's just a matter of waiting for this consolidation period to elapse and to complete, before then being able to realize some gains. So finally, taking you over to ETH as well, is we had this really nice push from this low to this high. We've took liquidity and we've come into a key level, and we've left the monthly bullish range unmitigated below. And essentially what I was discussing here is where we've had the Bitcoin ETF news here, is we had the ETF news and the manipulation of the range high, and then we had a sell-off of around about 19-20% after the ETF news. So it was a news manipulator essentially, where we had bullish news, we pushed up as a result of the bullish news, it manipulated us back into key levels, back into this fair value gap and liquidity, and then we seen the post ETF news drive after the manipulation event. And the same could be playing out on ETH, where essentially we've had that post ETF bullish move. We've had the ETFs approved. It's put us into liquidity, into key levels. It's left us this key level here. And all I'm thinking is, just like the left here, price is either based on how it's give us a very nice bullish reaction. I'm not looking for us to take these lows just yet, although they are equal lows in my eyes. I'm first looking for price to essentially, where we've had that initial bullish move out, I'm looking for price to return back into this order block here, where we've had the move, push out of, So all I'm looking for is a retracement back into this previous swing high before then seeing higher prices. And again, this would just correlate to seeing them stablecoin pairs push up into them key areas and the market reacts bearishly, as well as total pairs pull back into key levels after, now they've been consolidating in supply levels. You can see the correlations directly related on the charts, and all I'm looking for is essentially pullbacks into key levels before then seeing continued expansion to the highs and into new all-time highs as well. And again, I'm just continuing to go over the charts here with the idea where I'm just looking for ETH and as a result alts and BTC to have that pullback into these key levels before then seeing higher prices. So ultimately over the last couple of weeks I have been looking for pullbacks in the markets, especially looking at stablecoin dominance pairs. You can see that they are consolidating in key levels. They have took liquidity. They're in this order block here where there was a nice move out of it in this bullish fair value gap, and we have just been consolidating in this discount of this bearish range. So as a result, I was looking for price on this pair to push up, and in not every other pair, but in most pairs in the crypto market, because it's an inverse correlation, I've been expecting the market to essentially become bearish, have them bearish retracements as stablecoins have these bullish retracements, or should I say correctionary bearish retracements into key supply levels before seeing higher time frame reversals form on these pairs, and as a result on pairs across the market, and seeing that continuation higher into new all-time highs. So overall, guys, that was the forecast from last week, and I'm very happy that I've broke that down there, because it was 35 minutes that I'd put my time and effort into and broke down, but I didn't have any audio. Realised that I didn't press my microphone, and as a result I recorded all of that without audio. But as you can see, I was able to break down the chart from my annotations alone, because I'm a very visual forecaster where I like to break it down with the drawings. So I've been able to talk you through exactly what my expectations were from last week, going through this forecast with no audio. And you can see that pretty much what I've been looking for on total pairs and on Bitcoin is, essentially coming through. We've not manipulated the range highs yet, which was I was kind of expecting a couple of weeks ago. Instead, we've just consolidated and continued to consolidate in this higher time frame supply area that I marked out. And all I'm looking for is for this to be used as liquidity and for price to return into this breakout area here, whilst alts continue to bleed, whilst total pairs continue to correct into them key levels. Overall, I'm a little bit bearish, a little bit pessimistic here, whilst we are just trapped in this higher time frame range. And all I'm looking for is for breakdowns to occur into these key levels before then seeing higher prices come through. But again, I can't say it enough. Price doesn't have to just reverse from this level. It could come lower. It's just at the minute we still have this zone first to mitigate and see if we get a decent reaction from. You can see we've got a daily fair value gap. We had that MS. We've swept the lows. So there's some really good signs from this area on the chart. It puts us back in a discount of this higher time frame range, and it's a reaccumulation range as well. I believe it's reaccumulating before we see higher prices continue in the market. Before then, I believe that once we've reached the higher time frame targets of whatever the market puts in, whether it be 120 up to 140,000 USD, I then think we'll start to see this get used as liquidity regardless later on down the line. But for now, we concentrate on that bullish move. We concentrate on this being the accumulation range, and all I'm looking for is for that continued manipulation within this range. I want to see these targets come through, and then I'm looking for them bullish reversals from these zones. And that's pretty much the same on total, where I'm looking for the higher time frame bearish reversals. This is used as liquidity after coming into these key areas, and then I'm just looking for essentially price to come back to this level before potentially seeing higher time frame reversals, bullish form from these zones. Same with total 2, you know, returning into that fair value gap there, returning into this order block here. I want to see price come deeper into these levels, correct a bit more across the market, and then seeing that potential move higher come through. And total 3 as well, same story. You know, we're reacting off key supply levels, manipulating highs, taking liquidity. All I'm looking for is for deeper retracements into these levels before seeing reversals come through. But at the minute, you know, we still could see reversals. We could still see price look to draw to these levels here, and this level, and this level. It still just remains to be seen. We are still heavily consolidating between this level here. You can see we're just consolidating in a premium. We reduce down to a discount, consolidating back into a premium, breaking down back into a discount. So that is all we're doing here, guys, is consolidating between a premium and discount and accumulating orders on all of these pairs, which it needs to do for price to drive higher later on. Remember that, like, price is not doing nothing here, it is accumulating before we see higher prices later on down the line. So we'll just drop onto stablecoin dominance pairs. You can see here that on the daily from the previous day we had that bullish move come through, which essentially coincided with the market pulling back a lot deeper, altcoins having them bearish reversals come through. Is because what stablecoins are doing, should I say, is we are continuing to consolidate in a discount after taking liquidity in this bullish fair value gap, in this order block here. So, and price is essentially just consolidating, and we're now starting to see price push to the upside into what looks like it's going to push into these key levels here, into this liquidity, into these key levels here. And I'm expecting, as this continues to push up, I am expecting, you know, bearish correctionary moves across the market, continuing in Bitcoin, in ETH, and in altcoins of different severity as well. Some altcoins are going to naturally hold up more than others and going to have stronger background strength over some. You know, meme coins and AI coins, I've noticed, have taken a reasonable hit compared to other coins in the market, and that's probably because they're still priced in a premium compared to most right now. So, you know, different coins will have different levels of pullbacks, so don't be alarmed that some will pull back more than others. It's pretty natural at this stage. Or overall, you know, we are going to continue to see essentially correctionary moves in the market whilst this pair trends up into these key levels here. But overall, I'm still looking for that higher time frame move to come through, draw to these levels before then seeing a continued bearish sell-off into these levels. And once we get to these levels, guys, it's going to be great. Yeah, the market is going to be pretty bearish at this point, I'd imagine, and you're going to be down in your portfolios by quite a lot of unrealized losses. But once the market then aligns pro-trend bearish from this level, we should start to see them higher time frame reversals play out in the market, where we continue to see new all-time highs on Bitcoin, as well as a market-wide sink and pump on altcoins, because we're yet to see that. We're yet to see a true alt season. And whilst we have seen alt season across the market on different narratives like meme coins and like AI coins, we've yet to see a full market-wide pump on all coins. And I think as this coin breaks down into its key levels, you know, into this higher time frame liquidity target here, and we start to come into this level and, you know, into this order block as well, that is when I believe we will start to see the blow off top phase in this market, where we come into the key levels and then we start to break down one more time. This will be the blow off top phase into key levels, and then we should start to see reversals higher and potentially even take this liquidity here that is absolutely stacked on stablecoin pairs. Whether or not this is being set up for later on down the line in a few years to come, who knows. But the technicals have definitely left it there. You can see double top, if not more than that. There's a quadruple top there where we've got one high, another high here, another high here, and another high here, all just acting as liquidity. So whether or not, as we come into key areas on this pair later on down the line, and we see this come and take this out later on, it's yet to be seen. We're still very far off that yet, but as you can see, we're still very much in a bear trend on stablecoins, and we are in essentially a consolidation pullback phase before another expansion to the downside, which means an expansion to the upside is just around the corner on the market, on Bitcoin and on altcoins here. So patience is definitely the key word. Continue to have that patience, and again, just be aware that this is setting up for that bullish push into here. I am expecting more bearish moves into the market before then seeing this continue bearish. And then if we jump onto
Expecting the weekly there, so I'm being a little bit cautious with things.
So with this video, this was broken down on the 27th of the 5th. This was my expectation from a couple of weeks ago. Obviously given my update that I've just given you on the prior session from the 3rd of June, and that weekly breakdown as well. So I just want to quickly go over some of the forecasts I've done here. So this one was one on Sol.
Do you think there's potential to see Sol return to this level down here, back into this?
So what I'm looking for is price has put in this bullish leg, we've broke down, we've returned to this breakdown area, and we've essentially stalled, starting to form a contracting descending wedge, which is like we're forming on total pairs. And all I'm seeing is the same setup forming on a lot of altcoins where we have overextended conditions, we're returning into breakdown levels, and I'm looking for essentially another correctionary move to play out back into these key levels here before then seeing higher prices and then reversals come through at a later date.
Breakdown area.
So, you know, as you can see, that looks something like the above should I say, where we've mitigated this, we've rejected on the previous week, we've rejected again this week, and I'm looking for a rollover of price to take out this liquidity, come into these key levels before then going higher. And as you can see, we've got that same wedge pattern that is appearing on total pairs, and giving me an indication that this is potentially what's setting up on some coins.
Before we see.
And if I just take you to Sol as well, you know, whilst we're here, and we look at what Sol's done since that, you can see since that forecast, Sol has essentially rejected off this level here. If I take the fib off, you'll be able to see it a bit better. But essentially, we've rejected off that level, and we're still forming that essentially descending triangle. And all I'm looking for is the potential to see this liquidity get manipulated, Sol to come into this level before then seeing essentially this get used as liquidity, this trend line, and then into the all-time high. And then the same with Jup as well,
on the 3-day,
where we have this.
You can see we initially had that run to the upside. We've broke down here, and we've just been consolidating, just like most pairs are suggesting, consolidating after that high time frame breakout, and essentially just manipulating liquidity either side. You know, you can see we manipulated the lows here, and we're now starting to manipulate the highs here. So there is potential, especially with how these are forming. There's a lot of liquidity under here, and we're just sort of constricting in these triangles, in these ascending triangles. So all I'm thinking and being cautious of is this potential to see, we could see lows start to form and reversals start to form from here, and these could be forming round bottoms after that capulation event. However, I'm also just being cautious of seeing potential bearish reversals into liquidity back into deeper key levels before then seeing higher time frame reversals start to form after that.
So with Jup there, as you could tell and as you could see, similar to Sol, and I'll just take you to the Jup chart, and it's exactly what we've started to do essentially is I'll take fib off as well, is we're essentially forming that constricting wedge where we had a 3-day order block from here. We also had a fair value gap between here and liquidity resting here. All we've done is consolidate, swept liquidity into this key level, and what I was essentially looking for in price is either commitment to go higher from here and show a true rounded bottom, or we were looking for essentially that manipulation, as like I was looking for with Sol and all my total pairs, is looking at this being a range. We manipulate the range high, come into key levels where we've broke down from, and then essentially just rolling over back into key levels before then seeing higher time frame reversals play out. And I hope you're getting the picture now of what I've been breaking down the last couple of weeks. Basically just showing you, exactly what I was looking for and how price has developed and started to play out here is where you can see just what I was forecasting, where I was looking for that potential manipulation here, and then price rolls over, takes resistance from this, and then looks to start to target some of these key areas and liquidity in this range here, where price isn't done consolidating yet. It's not ready to move to the upside yet. I do think that the whole timing and the fact that we're in summer and it is a little bit less volatile over the summer period, there's less liquidity in the market, and I think because the market moves in cycles as well, I do think that we will probably start to see a new phase. It's like quarterly theory. I've not touched on it too much and I don't talk about it openly, but the thesis and concept of quarterly theory of the markets moving on a quarterly basis, I do think that we had an impulsive bullish Q1 in the market. We're starting to see a consolidation / correctionary Q2. I think we'll probably continue that into Q3, and then over Q3 and Q4 we start to see them higher time frame bullish reversals play out as we move into the winter months, or the fall as such. So yeah, that was basically Jeff. You can see that is starting to come through pretty nicely there as well, is where I was looking for that rollover
seeing potential
to occur, where, as you can see,
I'm also just being cautious of seeing potential bearish reversals into liquidity back into deeper key levels before then seeing higher time frame reversals start to form.
And as you can see, chart, like for like, it's pretty much what's played out there. You can see we've had that breakdown. We are starting to break down here and starting to target internal liquidity from here. And then FTM.
Level and all.
FTM was another one I forecast because it was again another pair that was giving me early signals that we were going to break down and we were going to continue to see bearish momentum come into the market. Based on the fact it had liquidity to target on the lows, it hadn't come into the demand range as deep as I would like it to. And not just that, the way it returned into key levels, taking rest and liquidity at the same time, for me it all set up to become a little bit of a sell event, as I'm going to show you here and from what I broke down previously.
Pulled back, and we've had a really clean breakdown from this level, and all we're doing is rejecting off that level at the minute, and we've left a lot of liquidity here, so we've got a fair value gap there. So there's two options again for me that I'm looking at here. Is I either want to see price returning to these levels and continue higher into new highs, or are we potentially going to see some bearish reversals form into liquidity before then we see higher prices return into the market. Because I'm not overly set in thinking that we are done. I still think that there's potential to see further manipulation play out in the market, further manipulation on Bitcoin in this range, because you've got to remember we are still ranging right now until we get that break of a range high and a retest of the range high for the continuation higher. We could just see another manipulation of the range high, and it could coincide with seeing some lower prices in alts. You know, you can see we had the breakdown here and we broke down, and what did we do? Essentially we broke down, returned back into the area of breakdown, and then we had a sell-off. And all I'm thinking is, just looking at past data, is are we doing the same here where we've had that breakdown, we're returning back into, essentially we've ranged between there and there, we've formed range liquidity, we've swept liquidity, and now we're going to see another sell-off down to the lows. And that.
So, with that being said, if we take a look at FTM and get it up, compared to what we've just reviewed there and what my expectation was on FTM, is, as you can see, what price done was, we did just on the 2 day, 3 day, 1 day, it doesn't matter, it's all the same basically. But we returned back into that level, we rejected from this order block here, filled this fair value gap, this inefficiency, we took sell side liquidity from the highs, and now we're starting to see that breakdown come through into higher time frame liquidity. So as you can see, the ideas and the forecasts are coming through that I was looking at a couple of weeks ago. Granted, not the full idea hasn't played out to a T, but over the last couple of weeks, these forecasts that I have been producing for the Discord and over on YouTube, as you can see, the targets are very much being met, and the analysis is coming through, as like FDM has done here, where we have rejected and we are starting a rollover, which is what I've been looking on for Sol and for FTM as well as a good few other alts.
Just what I'm cautious of, right?
And just to touch on there as well, obviously I was saying I was overly cautious because I do think there is still manipulation to be seen in the market. I do think there's still manipulation playing out in this range until we get a confirmed breakout and a solid retest of the range highs where we then continue bullish. For me, I believe we're going to just continue to see a lot of manipulation in this range. Bitcoin hasn't really done a lot. It didn't correct a lot yesterday, but it caused a lot of manipulation in altcoins, where altcoins, some of them, done 10 to 20% moves to the downside. So we are just continuing to see that manipulation and consolidation in this range, as I was talking about in that breakdown on the 27th a couple of weeks ago. And that is basically my expectation over the next month or so, maybe the next couple of months, until we see some more commitment out of this range, because right now we're doing a whole lot of nothing other than just consolidating.
Perform in the market.
Just to finish this off,
just as time goes on and develops here. So yeah, leaving it on that, guys. I think investing to us forming it just depends if here forming a low. That I'll be sure to drop another weekly update as next manipulating the range into higher pricing, into key levels in the range, before then seeing potential lower prices later on, setting us up for a bullish Q3 and Q4 later on in the year. With that being said, guys, I'm going to leave.
So now that we've broke down them two breakdowns, as you can see, we're pretty much nothing's changed. We are still consolidating in these key areas, basically in sell areas. We've got liquidity on the lows. We have still got plenty of room on Bitcoin to take this liquidity here. There's plenty of liquidity on the highs to manipulate. So overall, I am still looking for essentially manipulation to play out in this range over the summertime. And until we see some commitment to really drive out of this range, that is all I'm expecting to continue to see for the time being. As stated, I am looking for bearish momentum to come into the market at some stage to take out these lows, to come into these key areas. And again, that just coincides with stablecoin pairs coming into their key levels, retracing into their key levels, such as, retracing into these key levels here. I would look at Bitcoin retracing to the 60k level, and then I'll be looking for reversals to form back bearish. Now, I want to break down this chart called Others. Now, Others is the top 10. It's the altcoin market excluding the top 10 altcoins in market capital. So essentially, this chart, this pair is your altcoins, your low cap altcoins. Obviously, you've got total free. That includes all your major altcoins. So that will show you volatility for the main altcoins. So as you can see, the market hasn't broken down that much. We're in plenty of consolidation here, and the most recent moves on majors such as Sol and BNB, they haven't been affected by the recent downtrend or the recent correction in the market. Whereas when we look at others, we can get a better understanding of how our low cap altcoins are doing, where this excludes the top 10 altcoins in market capital. So it does essentially focus on your lower cap altcoins. Now it looks basically the same as most total pairs right now, where essentially we've had that range create demand, we've had the push, we're in a retracement phase back into key levels. As you can see, we've left resting liquidity here, and we're just forming another wedge essentially. And when we drop down to the weekly, you can see again, it's basically forming the same principle as all our other pairs, where we've formed range liquidity, we've swept it into a fair value gap in this key breakdown area here. And all we're doing is essentially rolling over back into liquidity, back into key levels in this range. The ultra bearish case for this, again, would be this low gets taken here, and we form a descending wedge. We take the lows, manipulate into these key levels here, this order block on the weekly, fill this fair value gap into this overall demand range on the monthly time frame, before then seeing that higher time frame reversal come through to take out this swing high and to put us into new all-time highs here. And on daily, you can see clearly we had that breakdown from yesterday, and this is what really impacted some of the lower altcoins in their market capitals. We had that breakdown. We've essentially ranged, manipulated the range highs, closed back in bearish, and then started to form bearish order flow back into some of these liquidity here. So again, as you can see, we're doing a whole lot of nothing. We are just consolidating. We were consolidating in a premium, and now we're consolidating at a discount. And again, the market is just doing a whole lot of nothing right now. It's building a cause and effect relationship to essentially drive price up at a later date whenever it's ready to do so. And as I've talked about in my past breakdowns, we are just forming essentially that accumulation in a higher time frame bullish trend before then seeing higher prices come through later on down the line. But with this pair in particular, because it is your low cap altcoins, the way I'm seeing this is there is good potential to see this low get taken here and to see this get manipulated down to here. I think altcoins on the low cap altcoins look particularly bottomed out, but I do think there is still more room to see blood in the altcoin market, especially on the low caps with this pair, as well as others dominance. Others dominance is essentially, it's the percentage market cap dominance of the altcoin market, excluding the top 10. So essentially what you're looking at here is just like we look at stablecoin dominance, and as stablecoin dominance increases, we understand that there is a larger market cap of stablecoins. So when we look at this pair as others dominance, what we can understand from its correlation and movement is as this pair trends to the upside, all of the low cap altcoins will essentially be trending to the upside and be bullish. And as this pair is consolidating / trending to the downside, or retracing to the downside, we can expect a bearish low cap altcoin market. And that's exactly what we've been seeing, is essentially where we had this liquidity here and we formed this high. We've essentially formed a range that left us, so we've got a bullish leg and price here, between there and there, and you can see that bullish leg, and price has essentially formed a range in a premium. Here's the 0.5 here, so we're yet to even tap that. And what price has done over the last couple of months, well, not even the last couple of months, but since pretty much December, is we have consolidated in a premium. We've broken down, and essentially we're continuing a breakdown back into a discount of this bullish range, returning into higher time frame key liquidity, returning into higher time frame fair value gap and order block, as well as returning into key levels such as the 0.5 and 0.618 golden fib level. And when we look at the monthly on this as well, you can see, you know, we've had that bullish market shift where we've had a body close above this level. We take the low as well. There's your bullish chalk. What have we come into? This nice demand zone here. We're following order flow to the upside, just like we have done. Let me take this off. Just like we've done prior, where we have followed order flow, we have took liquidity in the process, and what are we doing? We're following order flow. We're following order flow. We're currently taking liquidity into key levels, and then all I'm looking for is that essentially continuation to the upside. And this is the most important chart, I think, when it comes to, well, I believe when it comes to low cap altcoins. I think when this pair starts to reverse, that's when we'll start to see our low cap altcoins start to do really well and start to outperform. But at the minute, as you can see, we've had a number of bearish months in this pair, and the altcoins, the low cap altcoin market has been rather bearish in comparison to, for instance, the larger caps like AI coins and meme coins, which have dominated the market and had a lot of liquidity drawn into them assets, drawn into them coins, drawn into them niches. And as a result, the low cap altcoins of the market have essentially had a rather bearish phase where money just hasn't been entering the space of the low cap altcoins because it's been into other areas of the market. But as this starts to return to attractive levels, back into the equilibrium of the bullish leg, back into, you know, higher time frame key liquidity and breakouts, I'd expect to see accumulation profiles in this area. I'd expect to see a higher time frame bullish reversal start to form from this area over the next couple of months. So I'm looking for that bottoming to occur on altcoins. Obviously looking for Bitcoin and everything else to find a local bottom as we range bound. And then over the next couple of months start to see that trend change and putting in essentially, you know, the low there, we put in a higher high, put in a higher low, and then looking for a new higher high to the upside. And that is what we're expecting on total 1, total 2, others dominance, and then obviously in reverse for stablecoin dominance pairs, where we're expecting them to continue to put in low high, low high, low high, low back into its key levels. Key levels for stablecoins For USDC dominance, we're expecting this liquidity here to get tagged with price to come into these levels and potentially even to the higher time frame levels below that down here. And then for USDT dominance, as reviewed prior, we're looking for price to take this liquidity here, come into these areas and continue that higher time frame breakdown, putting in a lower low, lower high into a new lower low in the market over the next couple of months. I think I'm going to leave it at that, guys, to be honest. I believe it's been quite a long breakdown from how long I've been sat here talking. But overall, as I've said, we are just continuing to consolidate in this market. I do expect to see this continue for the next couple of months. I am mostly positioned in my coins. Any money that I am expecting to make in meme coins and shitcoin plays, because I keep that money separate, I am just gradually scaling more into my positions, such as Num, Mana, Phil, and really just waiting and having the patience for these higher time frame moves to play out and finally come through. Again, I don't think the market is just ready to continue into a new bullish phase yet. I still think it's likely that we have further consolidation and manipulation to occur here over the next month or two, leading up to a bullish Q3 and Q4. With that being said, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it here. No doubt we'll have another breakdown next week. I don't want to continue to put breakdowns out every single week when nothing changes, because as you can see, I've been able to review the previous past 2 breakdowns and nothing has changed since my initial breakdowns from 2 weeks ago. You know, you can still see we are just consolidating. We're still waiting for them higher time frame breakdowns to occur. And if you ever get stuck, I have also mapped it all out in my Discord as well. So as you can see, my I've got my breakdown there from the 27th of the 5th, and then I've also broken down the pairs in their corresponding analysis sections of the Discord too. So as you can see, you know, I've got total here with the expectation of what am I looking for total to do. Stablecoin dominance pairs. You can see I've put regular updates out, with the last one being the 24th of the 5th. So this is a couple of weeks ago. And pretty much exactly what I'm still looking at now is we're at that key level. I'm looking for a push into these areas, results in essentially a pullback in the market into key levels before then a continuation bearish on stable coins and bullish in the market. So all of this analysis is over in the Discord, the video breakdowns as well as chart breakdowns and analysis. And you can find all of my altcoin plays as well as that higher time frame key analysis on Bitcoin, on ETH, and on the market dynamics on a whole with the stablecoin pairs. And as you can see, there is loads of updates in here. It's absolutely jam-packed. We cover Bitcoin dominance, total pairs, stablecoin pairs, a range of altcoins, to really get a good understanding of what is happening in the market right now. And touching on Bitcoin dominance, actually, I'm going to quickly take you onto that because, again, nothing's really changed. The only thing that has happened with this pair is, as you can see on the 3-day, is, well, we'll start you with the monthly, is price has essentially formed a range here and a range low there. We're rejecting massively with high volume in a key area, in a premium of this range. And ultimately, we just continue to give signs that we're in a distribution profile. We are distributing at these levels on Bitcoin dominance with higher volume at a premium in these levels. You can see on the monthly, we've rejected twice now with this bearish rejection pin bar, and then a further rejection on the previous candle there. But again, what we've done is we've formed liquidity now above them highs. And what price is doing is, if we drop to the weekly, what price is doing is it has took sell side liquidity here. It's come into this demand range here, and now we're just starting to see more bullish momentum come in on Bitcoin dominance, which again has shown us some weakness in altcoins. We're starting to see altcoins bleed comparatively more in compared to Bitcoin, and as you can see, that's expected as Bitcoin dominance is pushing up higher here. So what can we expect from this one is, well, based on how it is right now, I personally think it's likely that this is sweeping this low here to take us into this key level up here. We are still yet to mitigate the monthly range. So as you can see, we're very narrowly missed mitigating this entire supply range where we pushed up, took liquidity, and had a very bearish move out of here with breaking the low here. So I think that we're setting up for another liquidation event where we push up, we take the liquidity above these highs now, we come into this key level, and then we start to see Bitcoin Bitcoin dominance start to break down, and then this will signal for us an altcoin season. At the minute, until Bitcoin dominance breaks down, we're not going to see altcoins move aggressively to the upside. Yes, we might see certain coins with background strength do well, like the meme coins and like the AI coins, but in terms of a market-wide alt season, I don't believe we will see that until Bitcoin dominance breaks down from these levels. As you can see, we're getting really we're contracting a lot. This is basically an ending diagonal wedge. It's a bearish reversal pattern for retail, but on the monthly, it's also a good indication that it is, the trend is ending. It is getting coiled up, and I would expect to see essentially a manipulation of the range highs here before then seeing that breakdown to the lows. So I don't think we're far off yet. I still think, like I say, there is a couple of months of consolidation, of manipulation to occur yet. But overall, we're looking very good on the higher time frame. And we are just expecting these moves to come through over the next couple of months to follow the higher time frame expectation and plan, and then see them higher time frame reversals start to form. And then once they do, we'll be in the money, and I'll be looking to scale out of my positions as price starts to continue higher here. But yeah, that is now everything that I'd like to break down here today. I hope that's delivered quite a lot of value, especially going over the breakdowns and past forecasts over in the Discord, as well as over on YouTube. Feel free to drop into the Discord. There is a free section as well that is absolutely jam-packed with value. There's a massive how-to section here as well, where I provide a lot of information, even an Excel on how to calculate your P&L for taxes and other stuff, as well as some really, really good insights and keeping up to date with the latest news as well, from the latest news sources for crypto news, financial news, fear and greed index updates, as well as on-chain analysis as well, directly from some of the best on-chain analysis companies. So with that being said, guys, it's been brilliant speaking to you today. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll catch up again throughout the week. Cheers all.